Hello and welcome to another segment of DSU Inside Perspective. I'm Carlos Holmes, and this is the show where we talk with faculty, staff, students, alumni, and guests about some of the things that are going on in the world or some of the great things that are going on at Delaware State University. Today we're talking about one of the great people of Delaware State University, one of the great alumnuses, Michael J. Feeney, who sadly passed away on Sunday, January 31st in Teaneck, New Jersey after a short period of hospitalization. It was something that caught just about all of us by surprise and shock, and all of us were stunned. But today we want to celebrate Mike because we found out through this experience he's probably one of the most famous alums that in terms of national people knowing him that has ever passed away. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And I'm here today with Dr. Marcia Taylor, who's assistant professor of mass communication. And, I was formerly the advisor to the Hornet when he was here. She is my predecessor. She is the advisor to the Hornet newspaper currently. And we also have Ben Bullock here, who was from the class of 2010, a closer contemporary of Mr. Feeney. And he's also now working for Delaware State University as Assistant Sports Information Director for our Department of Athletics. Marcia, Ben, thanks for joining me today. Let's talk about Mike. And I want to just start, what do you remember about him? Okay, Mike is a guy, in case you don't know, Mike was a mass comm major. He maximized his time here and took advantage of every opportunity to develop himself as a journalist, to develop himself within his major. Right out the chute, he got a job with the Associated Press. He held some other jobs with the New York Daily News. And just prior to his death, he had just gotten a new job, coveted job with CNN.com, with the entertainment section of CNN. A much desired job. He was looking so forward to that when unfortunately his life ended. What do y'all remember? I'm going to start with you, Marcia. You had him in class.
Yes, I remember Mike being very energetic, upbeat, and being a leader, campus leader. And so he was a leader in the Hornet. He tried to run the newspaper like it was a real newspaper, managing staff, coming up with really good stories, very good design. The picture there with the smile, along with you standing there in the old Hornet office, it brings back lots of memories. And I remember him juggling classwork, his work as the leader of the Hornet newspaper, as well as being, say, an RA and being in the Phi Alpha fraternity. Mm-hmm. So I think he was a great example of student leadership, getting involved, taking advantage of leadership opportunities so that when he graduated, he could excel, and that's what he did.
I would say he was one of the best editor-in-chiefs. My other editor-in-chief, you hear what I said? One of the best. He was one of the best, though. Yes. He was one of the best editor-in-chief. We could talk about advanced journalism matters because we didn't have to deal with some of the other stuff that you have to deal with when you have folks that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. We could bypass that and talk about advanced journalism. Mm-hmm. Now, you were more on the grassroots student level with Mike. Talk to me about what you remember about Mike.
Well, excuse me. Well, Mike was already gone when I got here. Mm-hmm. I changed my major from sports management to mass communications with a focus on broadcast journalism, and I did that my second semester year as a freshman. So, just trying to get a heads up on my career, just trying to get a heads up, and just kind of get it going. I actually applied to be a contributing writer for the Hornet on the sports side, and I remember during my interview was Ashley Todd, Shaniqua, and also Jen Daly. They asked me questions and everything about my writing style and do I have any experience and everything. And one thing I can remember from that interview was that they just kept talking about Feeney, Mike Feeney, Mike Feeney, Mike Feeney. We're trying to live up to Mike Feeney. I'm like, who's this guy Feeney? So the following year, I worked my way up to assistant sports editor, and I met Feeney at the National Association of Black Journalists Conference in Chicago in 2008, and I just got a chance to talk to him for a little bit, and I was just blown away. And then as time went on, I heard about all that he did here, how he, in my opinion, even though I didn't even work with him here, was the best editor-in-chief of the Hornet newspaper of all time. So what I did was I just tried to emulate him as much as I could. I worked my way all the way up to being the editor-in-chief of the Hornet newspaper when I was here. I was part of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, where I was the president, had my own sports radio show. So I did a whole bunch of different things, and because I wanted to live up to the standard that Mike set, even though I wasn't even here when he was here, but you know, his legend, I called him the DSU legend every time I see him, because he set the standard for every single DSU student to come after him to walk these halls in the ETV building.
But the status as a legend, while a lot of that had to do with what he did here, also came from what he did after he left
Absolutely.
here. He would go on to win the NABJ Emerging Journalist of the Year Award in 2010. Man, I tell you, and then he just kept making his mark. And then after he passed away, we started seeing articles from all over the place. Tuesday morning, I hear Steve Harvey has mentioned him on his show. Someone said Don Lemon mentioned him on CNN.
The mayor of New York City tweeted a response, Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton, yeah.
So
he made his, but this didn't surprise me, because Mike understood, and this gets back into him taking advantage of every opportunity he had here as an undergraduate. He got very involved with the NABJ. In fact, I think he might have been a part of that founding group when the chapter was.
Yes, he was a founding member, because I called and checked it with Marisa Phillips.
So he was involved in that. He understood the importance of networking, in connecting with people. And plus, he's a New York media guy, so you know he's meeting people like Al Sharpton and all these big people that are out there. And this was reflected after he passed away. All those people chimed in. What do you think, and I'll just ask, we'll close with this, our students today, and you heard about Feeney when you came here, what do you think students should take away from the life of Mike Feeney, especially as they continue to go through their academic years and work towards future success?
I think that they should take his example of learning, being open to being mentored, and to step up and to become leaders while you're here, so you can work on those skills, and also to give back once you graduate. I've called on him numerous times to mentor students that have just graduated, and he calls them along with others. But Mike is sort of a leader amongst our alums. Everyone knows him, and he's done a really good job as the president of the New York chapter of NABJ. So that role gave him an unprecedented opportunity to mentor other people.
That's right. Ben, what do you have to say on that?
Just for me, as you know, Delaware State is the biggest school. You know, we're not really known, for pumping out so many prominent journalists, people in the field, such as A&T, Howard, Hampton, FAMU, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, and all those things. The one thing I took away is that no matter what school you come from, just put in the hard work, be dedicated, get your grind on, and you can be like Mike Feeney.
So it's not that Delaware State University can't produce such people, but they can.
They can.
But our students have a role to play in the effort they put forth.
Absolutely. Like I said, he just did pretty much everything he possibly could. He really maximized every single opportunity that came upon us, that was available here at Delaware State. Like I said, I did everything I possibly could when I was here, and I learned that from that man right there, Mike Feeney.
Today is February 3rd, and a group of us will be going to the homegoing services for Mike in New York City, and then later in Englewood, New Jersey, on next Monday and Tuesday. Mike, if you're listening to this from wherever you are, we know you got to be up there in heaven. We miss you, bro. We think about you all the time, and you're never going to die for us. And we thank you for joining us for this episode of DSU Inside Perspective. Take care, y'all.